everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's really good to have you here. So today is another tough topic that I think people really avoid talking about, and that is incontinence. Incontinence, especially in young adults and young people. I have struggled with incontinence before. I kind of permanently, that was my cat. Okay, let me retake this, but just this is Freya. She says, "Hi, I'm sorry I messed with mommy's tripod." Okay, we'll be right back. For a long time, I struggled with severe constipation from something called colonic inertia. That's when your colon essentially stops moving appropriately. It stops moving enough, you become extremely constipated, and the result is a lot of daily discomfort. So when my colon actually ruptured, it ruptured when I was 19. And I had a long period of time after that rupture where I didn't have a bag. There was an anastomosis of my ileum, the last part of my small intestine, to my sigmoid colon, which was the only portion of the colon, a little tiny portion of colon that they left after my subtotal colectomy surgery when they removed the colon. I had only small intestine and a small portion of my sigmoid left, and my rectum and my anus were still being used for defecation. So, this is pre-bag. I had a very long road of pretty severe incontinence. So my anus and my rectum really had a hard time working together. That's something called anal rectal dyssynergia. That means that they do not work in conjunction. It leads to an inability to regulate when you defecate and when you hold it in, and it doesn't give you that normal amount of control over your defecation that most people have. As a young adult, this was really tough for me because I had to start wearing adult diapers. They are not comfortable. They don't really look normal underneath of pants, especially like yoga pants or tight-fitting clothing. So I had to be very cautious about my wardrobe. I felt like I was always trying to hide it. People were, kind of concerned when I would just get up and always run to the bathroom. They'd be like, "Are you okay?" I would often have to leave class just to go to the bathroom because I felt like I couldn't hold it in. I'd get to the bathroom and then voila, there you have it. You've already gone. And it's an awful feeling. It's very defeating, and I don't know that a lot of people have experienced it. And if they have experienced it, I'm pretty sure it's made you feel alienated at some point, because it's definitely made me feel alienated at certain points in my own life. At one point in college, when I was living at my dorm and I was living on campus, I was so incontinent that I couldn't make it to my bathroom, which was at the end of the hall, the opposite end from me, in time for my stool to come out. So I didn't like sleeping with diapers when I was in my freshman year. I still dislike it. Luckily I have the ostomy now, so I don't have to, but then I didn't have one. So I had no colon and I had no ostomy bag. I just had that anastomosis between the small intestine and my sigmoid. So I was kind of screwed because I couldn't make it to the bathroom. I did petition my school for a dorm room that was closer to my bathroom in the hall, but unfortunately I didn't get that until my sophomore year. So sophomore year went a little more smoothly than my freshman year for sure, but my freshman year was tough. So I was telling my mother and my family about this. I was like, "Guys, I'm telling you what, I wake up in the middle of the night, I feel like I have to go, I run to the bathroom, I try to get there as fast as I can, it's 3 a.m., and I wet myself, I poop myself. Or I'm laying in bed and I wake up and I poop myself and it's all over my bed pad, etc." So I've been there. What I ended up doing was getting basically a porta potty in my room, in my dorm room. This was a move that I didn't necessarily want to make, but I had to do it because if I didn't, then I would continue to have this problem with leakage at night. So basically, it was a bucket. We got it at a camping store. We went out to some camping store nearby my school. We got this thing that has a bucket and a top that has a seat on it. And You put a little plastic bag in there that's reinforced. It's almost like a garbage bag, and you just go to the bathroom. I had this little porta potty under my bed, and sometimes people asked what it was, and I didn't really know what to tell them. I did tell a few of my close friends that, like, listen, this is a stopgap measure that I have until I can figure out how to fix this incontinence issue, but I have to use this at night sometimes because I don't have enough time to get to the bathroom when I'm having a really tough night for leakage. They didn't necessarily understand. I think it was very difficult for them to hear that and to ingest it and to digest it and be like, okay, Cecily, that sounds great. That was a really uncomfortable moment for me in freshman year, I remember, but moving forward, I became quite a bit less apologetic about my problem because I felt like, as I've explained to you guys before, I should not be apologizing for having a problem that is totally out of my control. In fact, me using that porta potty was a great idea because otherwise I would be wetting myself and my bed, and that would just be a mess. It would make my life so much harder. So the least I could do for myself was get this little bucket that I could use to go to the bathroom when time was of the essence to get to the bathroom. So that being said, you guys have options certainly at your disposal. That is one. The porta potty is one if you keep that in your room or near you. The other one is obviously diapers, adult diapers. I've used them. There are also these little pads that you stick to your underwear in the back, and they're supposed to help with minor leakage. Those didn't really work for me. They didn't really absorb a lot, which was my main problem with them. So if you have small amounts of leakage, they might work very well. I believe they're called butterflies. But if you have a lot of leakage like I used to, don't even bother with them. You're gonna need to go with a full diaper. A lot of people who have this issue that I had, anal rectal dyssynergia, get hemorrhoids because hemorrhoids can develop when there's a lot of straining, a lot of you're really using your sphincters a lot, you're trying to hold stool in, it's so watery maybe, or it's so difficult to hold it in though that you're not quite able to, but you still have that urge to hold it in. That can cause hemorrhoids. And I had really severe hemorrhoids for a good 2 years because I lost my colon, and it wasn't until about 2 years after that that I ended up getting my ostomy bags. So there are some trade-offs. I got my ostomy for a few reasons, but one of them was definitely this incontinence that I had in my anus and rectum not cooperating, not giving me the control that I needed just to get through my day without soiling myself. So I will say, looking back on all of that, the ostomy was the right move for me because not only did I have chronic issues with my intestine not really performing well and being potentially deadly, risks for rupture, volvulus, ileus, but I also had this pressing issue of fecal incontinence, and it made my life really tough. I remember mornings waking up having soiled myself in my bed. I remember mornings having, putting on clothes, not liking the way it looked with a diaper, and feeling really defeated. So please don't feel like you're alone. I have dealt with all of these issues. I do have an ostomy bag now, but I know that's not the right move for everyone, and a lot of people just have to live knowing that they may never fix their incontinence, and I don't want you to feel defeated like I did so many days, because there's hope and there are products that maybe can help you, but please don't feel alone. Now I want to touch a little bit on urinary incontinence, which I know is something that a lot of young adults also suffer with. You may have both fecal and urinary incontinence. I've heard of that happening due to pelvic floor dysfunction or any other sort of syndromes that people may have. I had my urinary incontinence due to my surgery, and for whatever reason, I could not use my bladder correctly. I could not decide to pee and then just pee. I had either retention, which is when you can't empty your bladder correctly and so you retain it. You get what I would get was urinary spasms or urethral spasms, and I would have like this burning feeling down in my urethra, and I would feel really uncomfortable, and I knew that I couldn't pee for like a while when I was having those spasms. So I ended up having to go home with a indwelling Foley catheter. It was really tough to live with that catheter. I felt uncomfortable with it. I had trouble wearing clothes that I liked. It was difficult to clean myself appropriately because I was so afraid of pulling it out. So that was a tough time in my life, and I only had to live like that for about a month or two before the retention issues went away and I could finally urinate on my own. But I know that's not the case for some people. I know some people actually have to live with catheters or catheterization frequently in their lives. Now, I am lucky enough to not need to catheter every day, to cath myself every day, but for a long period of time after that surgery, and even after my indwelling catheter was removed by a urologist, I still needed to use little tiny catheters just to be able to pee. I would use these small SpeediCaths. They're by Coloplast. Again, I use Coloplast all the time, even for my urinary issues. And these are super helpful. So they're pre-lubricated, and you basically put them up your urethra, and it opens the urethra enough so that you can empty your bladder appropriately. I don't need to do this often. I don't even need to do this every week, I would say. But every now and then I definitely get some retention symptoms. And I know that that's something a lot of people deal with and maybe have to self-cath every day to eliminate all of their urine. And my heart goes out to you guys, but you're not alone. I've been through this, and I know people who go through urinary incontinence, and it's really tough. And people who can't control when they urinate and may urinate by accident, may leak by accident. That's happened to me. And diapers are always a good option. Pads are a good option. I know that it's a scary thing to look down the barrel of a day where you have to get through school, work, and at any point today, I could wet myself or I could poop myself, and I just have to move on. And we're strong as people with incontinence. We're very strong. I've met a lot of us, and we have this ability to just accept what's happened, accept that it's something that we couldn't control and that we need to move on from. And that is a very difficult thing to learn at first, but that resilience will come with time, I promise. One more tip that I have for you guys that some of you may already use if you're incontinent, either from urinary tract issues or fecally, you can use a bed pad. So I actually learned about these in the hospital when I was having my colon surgery. They put me on one of these when I was in recovery, and I said to my mom, this is a great idea. Like, what if I leak at night? This is a great idea. So I get these in bulk. You can get them on Amazon, and I believe you can get them at a lot of like medical retailers. If you have like a medical store or medical supply store in your area, I'm sure they would sell these. It is such a nice product. I love it. And what I like about this one specifically is that it's very large. I get the largest size that they have. And it will cover your bed. So this should give you guys an idea of how large this bed pad is. It covers most of my bed, and it definitely keeps me safe at night from any kind of leakage. It's really comfortable to sleep on. I never really notice any difference. Yes, that is PewDiePie, a colon, and Spider-Man, 3 of my loves. So yes, this is what it looks like when it's actually on my bed. I'd be curious to know what you guys think and if you use these yourself. Sleeping on a pad, even as an ostomy, because I still sleep on a pad with my ostomy, you never know when you're gonna leak at night. Sleeping on a pad is, in my opinion, the best way to quell any fears that you may have going to sleep, that you're gonna leak or you're gonna accidentally go to the bathroom in your sleep, which is really difficult to avoid. Believe me, I've been there. So my number one tip for you guys is use a bed sheet. It couldn't be more helpful. For those of you who may not know, when you get a stoma, you have no control over the small bowel that's attached to your abdomen, and when it poops and when it doesn't. There's no sphincter there. So a sphincter is where you control, like your anus is a sphincter. Oh, okay, I can control how much it dilates, how much it contracts, and therefore I can control how much I go to the bathroom in a day. the ileum, the small intestine, the portion of the colon, if you have a colostomy that they attach to your abdominal wall, does not have any sphincter properties. You cannot control when you go. So ostomates go all the time. I could be going while I'm filming some days and literally pooping while I'm talking to you guys, but that's just the name of the game. And if that's something that's right for you, and if an ostomy is the right step for your incontinence, or it's caused by some pathology that would be remedied or helped by an ostomy, I urge you to look at your surgical options. If you have incontinence and you're otherwise healthy, maybe a bag isn't the right move for you, because bags come with their own measure of issues that can make your life a little bit more difficult than the average person. I can say confidently that having this control that the bag has granted me over my defecation has been an invaluable help to me. I couldn't be more thankful for having my ostomy, because those days of wearing diapers and having hemorrhoids from trying to hold it and not being able to were scary. They were exhausting, and it's so hard to explain to your friends, I have to go home, I need to change my pants, because sometimes those diapers don't do a great job, or sometimes you don't wear one that day and you regret it later. I've been there and it's not easy. So I would say that anyone who's dealing with this problem, you're really strong and you're not alone. And I hope that one day they find better options, either surgically or medically, for people with fecal incontinence. Like I said, please guys, let me know in the comments if you deal with incontinence of any type, fecal or urinary. Everyone's welcome here. I absolutely would love to hear your stories and your journeys. I know mine has been long and it's been tough, but with the right measures put in place in your life where you feel more confident being out in public, and even just things like sleeping and living your best life with incontinence can be, you can still make it through the other side and feel just as much a part of society as anyone else. Please don't feel alone. You're definitely not. We're here for you. So thank you guys for watching. I will see you in my next video. Bye. Just one little cat shot here. Yep, I needed to throw this in at the end. That's brave.